Back. I think I did something right. I'm not sure. But anyway, welcome to the week 8 edition of Consistently Cashing, filling in for the absent Colby Conway. I'm replacing him this week. But as always, we have the DFS man of the hour, Ron Rigney. Ron, what is going on? Welcome to week 8. It's hard to believe that next week we'll be halfway through the season. Man, time flies. The weather is changing here in Ohio. Leaves are dropping like snow for me, so it just makes me want to vomit because I know how much work I have. But what's going on with you? How's everything going, man?
See, for me, it's the reverse because I have to mow my lawn less when this
I
starts to
know.
happen. So that's nice for me. But yeah, we're gonna, you're filling in for Colby. Last time we did this, we did pretty damn good filling in
Rocked
for
it.
Mr. Conway. So we're gonna get him back on track with the prop bets this week, and of course, we're gonna keep it on track with the consistently cashing here. Just spend a little time building our lineup, like what we got here. So let's get after it.
All right. So, Ron, why don't you start at the quarterback position? Man, there's a lot of good ones at the top. Man, it's pricey. So, where are we heading?
When you make lineups on DK, you got to bring that big boy checkbook out because man, some of these guys are a lot. But man, these top quarterbacks, the Mahomes of the world, the Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jacksons, boy, do they have some juicy matchups this week. But I feel like when you put that lineup up there, it's stars and scrubs like you wouldn't believe. And so we want to try to get that floor a little bit higher. So I went with C.J. Stroud, $6,300 against Carolina. Carolina has been terrible on defense. They are just bad at football in general. But there's never, and looking at it from a yearly standpoint, there's never a time when I went into a season that I would have thought, man, if I'm mixing and matching Baker Mayfield and C.J. Stroud, that's going to be an awesome 1-2 punch for me. But lo and behold, the one Kings Classic team that I have that's doing well, and that's exactly what it's been. It's been Baker Mayfield or C.J. Stroud as my quarterbacks, and of course, I'm going with Stroud this week against Carolina. Might see another Texan in this lineup as well, and a guy that we weren't able to fit in at running back for the Texans, Damian Pierce as well is another guy that you might look at. But I think for 6,300, when you drop down below those top tier guys, I feel like that's the guy with the highest floor for the lowest price that we're going to be able to get in this lineup.
Yeah, another important thing this time of year, especially Midwest, East Coast, is weather. But luckily, of course, this is in Carolina, so all is good down there. 78 degrees and sunny, so it should be a perfect day for some high-scoring offense. We've seen Houston bring it up every once in a while. I think this is another perfect matchup for that, so I love that one. All right, as we head into our first running back position, like you said, there's some interesting ones. Of course, you can pay up for the Barkleys and the McCaffreys. Raheem Mostert, we're not even sure. Derrick Henry, is he playing? Is he not playing? He's supposed to be traded. We don't know. So a lot of question marks at the top. But I'm going to go with Travis Etienne at 7,200. He has just been crushing it the last few weeks. One of the highest scoring running backs on a consistent basis recently. From our motto, as you know, definitely watching the consistency. He's right up there as one of the top guys. I'm checking the numbers now. So he's third in total points, 86% consistent. Like I said, he has just been crushing it week after week, especially recently now that we've kind of realized that, yeah, Tank Bigsby is not a thing. But last 3 weeks, 22.7, 23.3, 34.4. And New Orleans was a good defense last week. This week he's going against Pittsburgh. And I think they're in the middle, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check on that one. They're 20th, so they're down near the bottom, giving up fantasy points. But I think at that price break, it's pretty good. And again, I don't think it's worth paying up. But even going down, maybe you could put in Jonathan Taylor. But actually, New Orleans got a pretty tough run defense. So looking at Travis Etienne.
And I like that. And, it's one of those things, too, we talked about on the other pod. I just feel like this kind of sets up really nicely for the Steelers, kind of like a trap game for Jacksonville. But I feel like, throwing it might struggle a little bit, but they're going to have to hand off early and often. And like you said, Tank Bigsby is not a threat for carries at all. So I think at that price point, I think, with us getting a little bit cheaper at quarterback, I think Etienne is a must.
Yeah, definitely. All right,
so
who you got as the second running back?
Second running back we're going to go with Augustus Edwards. You better know him as Gus Bus, and we're going to go with him. Last 2 weeks, 16 and 14 carries. Like to see a few more opportunities there. Love to see him get involved in the passing game. He's been almost non-existent there. But against Arizona, I'm looking for them, even though it is at Arizona, to jump out to a little bit bigger of a lead. That Baltimore offense has been rolling. They've been able to throw it a little bit better recent weeks. Lamar Jackson's doing it with his legs as well. That's another downside is hopefully we'll get Gus with a touchdown. Lamar hopefully won't gobble all those up, but I like that price for him, pairing him with Etienne in that backfield. Gus Edwards too is only $5,500, and I feel like that's pretty good value for what he's going to get this week. I think 20 carries isn't too far off for him against Arizona.
Yeah. If for those of you, of course, follow the site, watch all the podcasts, thank you very much for doing that. But if you happen to get a chance to go over and watch the Prop It Like It's Hot show, I talked about the last, basically for the whole season, how the number one running back for teams have just completely destroyed Arizona. This is the whole season, starting backward, from week 7 back. This is the total rushing yards for just the number one guy on the team. 105, 68, 81, 105, 122, 63, 59. He's definitely rolling. They're definitely rolling against this Arizona defense. I definitely love that. So let's move on to the wide receiver position. We're going to stay middle of the road with most of these, just to kind of stay in that $5,000 range. The top one, and while, shows that Green Bay is one of the better teams against wide receivers and fantasy points, there will be no Jair Alexander this week. That definitely makes a big difference. Addison has just been cooking over the past few weeks with Justin Jefferson out of the picture. So, as you see, averaging 15.4 fantasy points a game. Really like this one. Kirk Cousins is just going to him early and often. So love Jordan Addison. The weather is supposed to be okay up in Green Bay. Not great, not terrible. Typical Green Bay weather for late October, I guess. But your thoughts on Jordan Addison, and then who you got at the number 2 spot?
Jordan Addison 2 weeks ago, 3 grabs for 28 yards, did have a touchdown. Last week against San Francisco, who's supposed to be one of the better defenses in the league, 10 targets, 7 catches, 123 yards, 2 scores. So I think Minnesota has figured out where they need to get the football. And like you said, Jair Alexander out this week, so that only helps his cause. And again, at $5,700, can't pass it up. So next guy I'm going to go with for my Colts, we talked about him on the prop. Probably like it's hot. Josh Downs, you're going with that over at 43.5 receiving yards against New Orleans. We talked about how Alontae Taylor is the only corner on the Saints because he's the worst corner on the Saints by far, and he's going to probably be matched up with Josh Downs quite a bit. We've seen him kind of come out and be more a focal point of that offense, especially with Gardner Minshew in there. We know Gardner Minshew is the guy the rest of the way, so I don't think you're going to see those targets go down for Josh Downs with, that Colts team kind of having some receivers that look like they're the part. They're looking the part. So Josh Downs is definitely that. You have some ups and downs with him in yearly as a rookie, but I like this matchup against New Orleans, and I like that matchup against Alontae Taylor, especially for $4,800.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like I said, this could be definitely a game where he might be able to go off for over 100 plus, touchdown. So even that 12.6 fantasy points could be low, could be the floor for sure. Definitely has upside to hit in the 20s. That's what we're hoping for this week. Kind of staying with the receivers that could have a big game, kind of have that high ceiling at this price range. We've done Addison, we've done Down. So we're going to stay at $5,500 and go to Nico Collins. So he's back now. That offense has been kind of clicking. Just a few weeks ago, he had 7 catches, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Steelers at home. This week he goes against Carolina, kind of a middle of the road, average defense. But still, he has that big play potential, and I feel like this could be the game where he kind of gets up there to that 20, 30-point range, which would be perfect for us. So definitely love Nico Collins in this game, kind of keeping the price tag in check. So, Ron, let's head over to the tight end position, and we went back and forth on some various options, but we kind of settled on one guy. Who was that?
Yeah, and as we were looking through the list here again, those top tier guys, a couple of them have some nice matchups. Of course, if you can fit that Mahomes and Kelsey stack in and feel good about it, go for it. I just didn't feel that great about the rest of my lineup if we did that, and I think you felt the same way. George Kittle's got a nice matchup, but we settled on Darren Waller for a little while, and then lo and behold, as we're looking to kind of save some cash, our guy, one of our favorites, I know he's one of your favorites, you have him in a ton of places, and that's Dallas Goedert. And Dallas Goedert's got a solid matchup this week. Last week, 5 targets, caught all 5 of those and scored. 8 targets the week before, 9 targets a week before that. He's got basically more than 7 targets in every game except for 3. So I think he's the guy you got to go with there at $4,600 for some of these guys that seem way overpriced. I'm really not sure why Dallas Goedert is sitting there at 4,600, but I will take it all day long against that commander. Yeah, against that Commanders defense. So it's something where we've seen him get way more involved last couple of weeks. Commanders are kind of middle of the road against tight end, but they have allowed 36 receptions to him, and we know that Philly offense is rolling. So $4,600 here again as you're coming down to the bottom of this lineup. You can't not go with him, and I think he's got a good opportunity to get you those points that maybe Darren Waller, maybe George Kittle might have gotten you anyway.
Yeah. No, like I said, I think I was as shocked as you were. And we're like, Dallas Goedert's only $4,600. Okay, sure, we'll go with that. Well, we figured we had some cash, and because we know what we're going to go defensive wise. We found a really good value, we feel, at defense. So let's take a. So we looked at the flex, and the one guy that kind of jumped out at me and it fit in the price range was Alvin Kamara. He's at $7,300, but you'll see how he fits in because we're going to go super cheap on defense. But we feel like we still have a good defense as well. But Alvin Kamara and Derek Carr are just loving each other. They are just Derek Carr is like, he's not captain check down. He's corporal sergeant check down. Last few games, Kamara's had 12 catches and 7 catches. Last week, 12 catches, 91 yards, also rushed for 62, 27.3 fantasy points. This week, going into Indianapolis, so indoor stadium, which is, of course, where he loves to play, Kamara. And I feel like that 27 points should be, something that probably will click pretty well for them. And I think he'll be right there. We felt like that had the best kind of upside value based on where his price tag was. So, Ron, your thoughts on Kamara, and then take us into the defense that's going to save the day.
Yeah, that Saints offense has been a mess, and they've definitely wanted and needed Alvin Kamara to come back. Not great for Jamal Williams owners, who's been non-existent the last few weeks, but I know he's coming off injury. But yeah, they're going to need Kamara because Derek Carr is not in sync with Chris Olave and his receivers at all. So there's going to be a ton of check down there. So I like that a lot. Last but not least, looking at those defenses, a couple that you really like that are up there at the top, but as you scroll down further and further and further, the one we went with was the Atlanta Falcons at $2,900. And I think that's super affordable for a lot of reasons. Heading into Tennessee, there's supposed to be a combination of Will Levis and Malik Willis. And if you've seen those guys play football lately, not looking too confident at the quarterback spot. And it tells me if you're playing, it's that old adage, if you're playing 2 quarterbacks, you really don't have any. We saw Will Levis look very inept in the preseason. If you got a little bit of Malik Willis playing last week, he didn't look bad at times, but I just don't feel like it's set up for success. And the one thing I like about this Falcons defense is when you go and you sort and you look by fantasy points allowed to position for that team, they're towards the bottom in a lot of these. And that Falcons defense is super, super improved. And so I'm not looking at that Tennessee pass game to produce much. Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry. That Falcons team is 4th best against fantasy running backs, and they're one of the 2 teams in the league, never would have thought this, that have not allowed a rushing score yet in the 2023 season. So that Falcons team at $2,900, man, if they can get to the quarterback a little bit, which I think they will be, when those guys don't have a lot of experience, they tend to hold on to the ball quite a bit and not much on the outsides. I mean, I know Traylon Burks, DeAndre Hopkins, but I'm just not looking for that team to do much. Falcons at $2,900. To me, they are the best play on defense this week for the price that you're paying. Best value.
Well, and some other things too, just to mention, AJ Terrell has definitely been one of the best shutdown corners. So even if Levis and Malik Willis even get passes off, you figure there could be some interceptions there, return for touchdowns. The weather is supposed to be sloppy. And then also add in this, and this is something I didn't bring up in our prop like top, but it's very important here. I noticed that while they do have props for Derrick Henry, the talk is that Henry's going to get traded. Trade deadline is what? I think Tuesday, right? The 31st.
It's Halloween, yeah.
Yeah. So I noticed that there were no props for Tajay Spears, which tells me they know something. They're going to put Derrick Henry in there thinking maybe somebody will bet on him, even though you might want to take the unders. but there's been talk that he may not play much. They don't want to get him injured. They want to see what Spears can do as the leader, as the lead back. So Henry out, sloppy condition that slows down Tajay Spears' speed. I think, like you said, this just a lot of little things equal up to a great choice at Atlanta at this spot. So definitely love that as well. So anyway, keep an eye on that. And see how that all plays out. But yeah, no, I like this team. Like we said, we kind of rearranged some things, got a better floor, I feel. But I think this team has a lot of explosive potential. And let's hope it does that. And we'll, win $1 million. No, I don't know. Win. We just want to cash, right? We're consistently cashing. Of course, I like to win more, but we'll see how that works out. But all right, Ron, tell everybody where they can find you, and then we'll take it out from there.
Yeah, before you set your lineups, check out the consistency show that Mr. Lung and myself put out there last week on BigGuyFantasySports.com. Check out all the wonderful stuff, all the articles over at BigGuyFantasySports.com coming at you every single day. And we just did the Profit Like It's Hot. We referenced it a couple times. Check that out, and hopefully we can get you some cash to go get some of those good candy bars this week for those trick-or-treaters. Don't be giving out that Almond Joy and those Mounds. Go get those Reese's Cups. Don't stop it. Stop it. Don't even make a case. There's no case you can make, Bob. No.
I'm a huge coconut fan.
All right. Well, I'm
gonna talk about giving away garbage candy like milk duds. It's fine, but don't pick on my coconuts.
All right, fair enough. I'm gonna get a big manila envelope and all of the Almond Joys that my kids get. I'm gonna
send them to
Mr. Bob _Long on Twitter, and they're heading your way, my man.
I love it. Yeah, send them all my way. In fact, we do a fall carnival up at the church above my house, and basically it's just we have all these like carnival games and stuff, and we give away candy. And so when they pour it in, any Almond Joys amounts, I just take them out because I'm like, I don't want these poor kids to have to suffer. I'll eat them.
That's good. I appreciate you looking out for the youth of America, Bob.
That's right. I got it. I do what I get. All right. You can, of course, find me at Bob _Lung out on the Twitter machine. And of course, as Ron said, so many great articles by all the guys, Robbie, everybody from Robbie's podcast to James, to Colby, to Ron, to me, to Prue, Patel, James Knight, trying to remember all the guys, Dan Turner, all of them out there. Definitely check them all out. Great stuff on Big Guy Fantasy Sports. Only $20 for the season. You can win that back this week alone. So don't forget to check that out. So for Ron Rigney, I'm Bob Long. Take care. God bless. Talk to you soon.